Hello again, fellow RC enthusiasts. Alex Cobra here. Today I'm very excited to bring you something that started out as a special request and hopefully ends in fun for a lot of 408 owners. What I have is an FPV system that I've designed to go into the Heng HG P408 Hummer. It's a complete plug-and-play system, and it should go in whether you're using stock electronics or whether you've upgraded to a receiver with more channels. I'm going to go over what components I use for the system, and then I'll show you exactly how it goes into a 408. None of these I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. These are just items that I've used over the years and have discovered them to work well together and be of pretty good quality. Sadly, I don't think companies sponsor you if you have a good idea, so I'm just going to have to go it alone. But in no certain order, we've got a 700 VTL CMOS camera with a 2.1 millimeter lens that gives you 155 degree field of view. You've got your 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter that gives you, no latency. It's not like one of those Wi-Fi camera systems that give you, that shows the video with such poor timing that you can't actually operate the model in real time. So this isn't that. And then we've got 8 amp switch that you can use if you have an auxiliary channel to power the system off and on. Omnidirectional antennas that you can use whether you plan to run the model with a hard top or whether you're going to run it with the top off. And then all of these have custom length connections that will allow them to utilize pretty much the standard 408 chassis. You don't have to really do any alterations to your chassis, and this will go in really well. So I'm going to get into how this goes in. If this is something that you're interested in, it's on the Bay of Ease. Okay, as I'll show you, it's fairly easy to install this guy. I've already got the top off just for the sake of speed, and there's really no changes that you'll need to make to your chassis. You simply remove the factory seat. As pretty much everyone knows, there's 2 holes that you access under the bottom. This guy is already attached to the chair, so you're just going to bolt him in. As you see, we've already got our servo wires and stuff. There's a finished cable so that once installed, you won't see this. And you've got 6 leads. The camera, 3 for the camera and 3 for the servo. Now what you're looking for under here is this small rectangular hole already in the chassis. Let me show it to you. It's right here. So all you'll need to do is pass those 6 wires up through this hole and bolt the driver seat down with those 2 holes here and here. Okay, I used a pipe cleaner to snake the wires through the hole in the firewall, and as you can see, he just kind of slides into place. Now I wanted to keep the figure full size and keep his legs intact, so they do curve to the right. I mean, you can move them as you would normally the figure, but they curve to the right so that he can fit in, and from there you simply turn it over and bolt those 2 screws down. Okay, once you have your hole and you've pulled your wires through, this is what you'll be left with, and this is where you will attach your transmitter. I've included some of this fastening material, and the wires on all of the harnesses have been measured for you to place the components roughly in the areas that I've shown here. If you don't intend to use your top, you can use the included 90 degree and just run it like that, or if not, there's an antenna extension included that will allow you to place the antenna on the hardtop. Okay, to power the system, all you need to do now is run the included power connector under the bottom of the chassis. Now, to minimize the amount of alterations that a person would need to make in order to install this, I have it designed to where you can utilize the hole from the factory, but you may need to make a secondary hole in your battery box, assuming you have one, just because for my situation, I can't fit both batteries in that box. So I've got a hole that I ran mine through on the side, and then the battery sits, I've got mine, I mean any 2-cell battery will run it, but I've got mine painted and it sits on the side, just kind of disguised as a jerry can. But any 2-cell LiPo will power your system just fine. Okay, now we're ready for the fun stuff. Alright, so this is a look from under the chassis, and over here we have our power connectors that have come down through the hole. This is that cable. Excuse my hands for being in the way here. Through the 4 or 5 millimeter hole that we put behind the rear passenger seat, this is the output wire for that you previously passed through, hopefully. Here's our camera connectors, and here are the power connectors. Okay, and here we have the these are the cables coming in from the driver. We have the red, black, and green for the servo, and then the black, yellow, and red will go to the camera. We're going to focus on the servo for the driver. Now, assuming you have a free channel on your receiver, you would use the included, I've included the servo in, so you can put the connector on and simply plug the servo in and control it with any free channel that you have on your receiver. If you're using a receiver that does not have a free channel and you still want to use this system, you would simply plug the driver servo, you would connect the included connector, and you would plug the driver servo into this. I've included one of these Y adapters, and you can then plug the driver servo into this and plug it into your steering channel, and you plug your steering servo into the other output, and then the driver servo and your steering servo will be slaved together, so you can use the system whether you have a free channel or not. So I'm going to go ahead and connect mine, and then we'll move on to the power and camera. Okay, my driver servo is plugged into my receiver, and it's time to connect the camera, which is pretty straightforward. You'll have a black, red, and yellow wire coming from the driver that have male connectors, and then you have coming in from your transmitter the black, red, and yellow cables that have female connectors. Now, I've included also some of these. Let's see there. I've included some of these, so you can finish off these and plug them in together underneath. Or if you're like me, I'm probably just going to opt to connect them, plug them in together, and just cover them with shrink wrap. But either way it goes, I've included the connectors for you to attach and plug them together. Okay, and finally, to power the system, there's an included 8 amp relay switch. You would plug this in into any free channel that you have on your receiver, and then this part is keyed, so you don't have to worry about reversing the polarities. This is your cable that's coming in to power the system. You will plug that into this side, and then the output would go to your receiver. We have these two there. I've included a JST connection that you can put on there, and then you would simply plug that into there, and then you would be able to activate your system, turn it off and on remotely. Now let's say that you do not have an auxiliary channel, which is kind of sad, but let's say that you don't and you still want to use the system. You simply omit the remote switch altogether, and you plug the transmitter directly into the power cable coming in from the back. So you would simply, once again, put on your connector. Pay attention to the polarity when you're connecting the JST. They are labeled. I believe the negative or the ground has a 1. You can see it. It is labeled on this connector, but you would connect that and simply bypass the switch altogether and plug that in there. Now, of course, if you're bypassing the switch, as soon as you attach the battery to the rear, it's going to begin to transmit. But you have 2 ways to play, so you can utilize the system whether you have free channels or if you don't. So if you're like me and have upgraded it to another receiver, you're good. If you somehow got the stock receiver and electronics to work, you can utilize the system with that. So we're going to put this together and give it a test run. Okay, so the system will ship with everything that you see here. I have green that will go with, I guess, your solid green or your, I guess it's the NATO camouflage. And within the next 2 weeks, I will also have a model that will be tan that will go with your desert camo or your solid tan HG 408. As well as the fact that I'm working on a system for the HG P801 Hemmt. But first things first, and it's a one-man show. So this is what I was able to get out, and like I said, if this interests you, thank you very much.